Okay, let's start with a really wild thought. What if the biggest thing standing between you and, well, everything you're looking for, truth, goodness, all of it, is actually you? I know it sounds crazy, but that's the core idea of this incredibly mysterious, anonymous text from way back in the 14th century. It's called the Theologia Germanica, and it's basically a guide to completely losing yourself. So today, we're going to break down its journey from total illusion to, perfect unity.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, we'll get the big picture of this journey the soul is on. Then we'll dive into the illusions that keep us trapped, what the author calls false light and false love. From there, we'll explore what true love actually is, which, spoiler alert, leads to the hardest step of all, surrendering the self. And finally, we'll look at the ultimate goal, what it really means to become one with God.
So, where does a journey like this even begin? Well, the author of the Theologia Germanica doesn't see our spiritual life as something static. Nope. It's a path, a really tough and profound movement away from a world of deception and towards a truth that is absolute and undeniable. So, here it is. This is the text itself. It was written over 600 years ago, and we have no idea who wrote it. They chose to stay anonymous. But what they wrote tackles one of the most provocative ideas you can imagine: the complete and total annihilation of the human ego. The main argument here is that our sense of I is the problem. It's the very thing standing in our way. And that brings us to the big central question of the whole thing, the one that challenges everything we think we know about ourselves. What is actually left when that I is just gone? Well, our medieval guide has a fascinating answer, and it all starts with understanding the illusions we're all living in. Okay, so before you can find what's real, the text is pretty clear. You gotta understand the lies we all tell ourselves. This is what it calls the world of illusion. It's the starting point for pretty much all of us, and the author breaks it down into two parts: false light and false love. The author draws a really sharp line in the sand here between two ways of knowing. On one side, you've got false knowledge. This is the stuff you think you know because you read it somewhere or someone told you. It's basically secondhand info, just an assumption. But true knowledge, that's totally different. It comes from what the text calls the true light. It's a direct, personal experience of truth itself. You don't just believe it, you know it. And get this, the exact same idea applies to love. False love is all about what's in it for me. It's a transaction. You love something or someone to get a reward, whether that's praise, a good feeling, whatever. It's self-serving. True love, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It loves goodness just because it is good. There's zero expectation of getting anything back. And the author does not pull any punches about how serious the state of illusion is. I mean, this quote is incredibly stark. This whole world of self-serving knowledge and transactional love, it isn't just a simple mistake. According to the text, it's the very essence of deception itself. All right, so if our everyday way of seeing things is just an illusion, what's the real deal? What's the alternative? Well, the text lays out this powerful vision of reality, and it's all built on the foundation of what it calls true love. This is the one and only path out of deception. Here's the heart of it. True love is aimed at what the text calls the one true perfect good. And the motivation behind it is completely pure. There's no "what do I get out of this?" It's a love that just flows out towards goodness, for no other reason than that's what goodness deserves. And this kind of love has some really profound qualities. First off, it's not something we can just whip up on our own. It's taught to us by that divine truth we mentioned. And maybe most important, it completely dissolves that feeling of being separate. In this state, you don't see a difference between yourself and the good that you love. It brings everything together into one essential goodness. Okay, this brings us to the toughest part, the absolute crux of the entire journey. If we're really going to find this truth, there's this one huge obstacle that has to be faced and, completely surrendered. The text basically asks this exact question: what is the one thing that's the source of all our problems, all the illusion, all the separation? The answer it gives is the bedrock of its entire philosophy. And the answer is this one concept, egen vilje, which basically means self-will. It's the desire to have your own will, your own agenda, your own plans, separate from the one perfect will of God. The author says this impulse, this constant assertion of "I want," is the original sin. It's the forbidden tree in paradise.
And this leads to a super radical, and actually very simple definition of sin. It's not about a checklist of forbidden actions you need to avoid. It's simply any action, any thought, any desire that comes from your own separate self-will instead of flowing from that one universal good. So, by this definition, anything you do just for you is a step away from truth.
So, what happens next? If you actually surrender that self-will, the very source of all our separation, what's left? Well, the text describes a state of perfect, seamless unity. This is the final destination. This is the end game, according to the Theologia Germanica. And it's not about improving yourself or making it more holy or anything like that. It's about the complete and total dissolution of the self. That feeling of being a separate individual is just gone. It's lost, given up. And here's how the author themselves tried to describe it. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. Imagine a state of being where the concepts of I and mine don't even exist anymore, where everything, including what you used to think of as you, is just seen and loved as one single, unified good.
So all those words we use that create distance and separation, I, you, mine, yours, they just dissolve. And according to the text, what's left isn't a void or an emptiness. It's a fullness. It's a single, undifferentiated goodness that is everything that is. There's no one left to claim anything, because it's all one.
And that brings us full circle, right back to that first big question. But now we have this really wild answer. This 600-year-old text is telling us that the I itself is the problem. And it leaves us with something pretty deep to think about. What is left? Who are you really when that I finally disappears?